I feel very blessed to have the opportunity to be part of this, because when I saw the faces of the people in the community we had funded and brought in the tractors to plow, and the excitement, and you could just see like you're lifting some heavy burden off the guy's back, because he doesn't need to go and dig that soil again. And you can just feel that, that impact, that excitement, that gratitude. And for me, that's what moves me. So as much as it's a very profitable venture, because when you trade, you make good, margins when you're the one producing. It's still so rewarding, when you know that you're having a direct impact in the life of someone deep in Gushegu, or deep in Bolga somewhere, who you may never have gotten to meet if you just stuck to your 8 to 5 job. But now, David, your money can be impacting and making a profit somewhere deep in Ghana, and that's amazing.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of the VC4A Founder Series. This is a podcast where startup founders share their stories of resilience and answer questions about the challenges and opportunities encountered during their entrepreneurship journey. This series is a collection of conversations with founders highlighting the ingenuity required to thrive in uncertain markets, make it through high-friction situations, and pass crises. Each episode highlights a different founder and the unique set of challenges they are facing. My name is David Coleman. I am the growth lead at VC4A, and I will be your host.
Welcome, Nana. How are you?
Fine, David. Thanks so much for the opportunity. How are you doing too?
I'm good. So let's get straight into it. I like the tagline that you guys have. Now everyone can farm. It's simple, and it just gets straight to the point. Tell us a bit about you, and then just a little overview of your company.
Yeah, so as you know, my name is Nana. You know me, I'm a serial tech entrepreneur. But what you wouldn't know is that growing up, I always wanted to be a farmer. And I did my degree and my master's in philosophy in agric engineering. So my master's was in machine systems, agric engineering, more specifically like mechanization or machine design, as some people may see. There are two different industries, but I focus on machine design for my master's. But my basics were agric engineering. So not only am I trained in the space, but I've also wanted to be in the agricultural space. But after my MPhil, I spent 5 years in parallel building a tech company that was focused on, that was a Fintech focused on, fundraising for churches. And at the same time, I was quietly dabbling in agriculture. So at a point in time, my few co-founders and I were like, how do we combine Fintech of fundraising, which we were doing in the churches, to agriculture, which actually needed a lot of financing. So we did two things. We first took a trip from Accra to Nigeria on bamboo bicycles in 5 days. And we got to see the countryside and a vast opportunity. But at the same time, we realized that about 1.3, 1.6 billion Africans, we are not able to feed everyone. And people spend over 60 to 80% of their income on food, meaning food is very expensive. So how come there's so much vast land and food is so expensive? So when we looked into it, we realized at the core, farmers who actually produce our food are smallholder farmers, typically having between 1 to 5 acres of farm. And 60 to 70% of the food we eat comes from these guys. So the reason why food is expensive is that smallholder farmers cannot produce more. Why? Is it because there's no land? No, there's land. It's because it doesn't have enough money to produce more. So we then brought crowdfunding to fund for funds from anybody like you yourself, David, so that we can fund a farmer, not giving him cash, but we plow for him. This time, plow 10 acres for him, give him seed for 10 acres, fertilizer for 10 acres, and he produces and pays back in sacks of maize, soybean. And then we sell the soybean or the maize and pay you back to sponsor your principal plus 50% of the profit. And that's really what our business is. And that's what my experience and in Fintech and my experience in agriculture has culminated into 3 other co-founders who have now made GrowForMe what it is today. We crowdfund to crowdfarm, and then we trade to pay back the sponsor. So GrowForMe is a crowdfunding, crowdfarming, and trading platform. So we crowdfund, we fund the farmer to farm, we sell the commodity or the harvest, and then pay back the sponsor, and the cycle continues. So before we list a commodity on our platform for you to sponsor, we would have found an off-taker already, whether for export, whether it's for feed processing here in Accra or in Tema, we'd have logged in all those for that commodity. And then we would list the commodity for you to fund as a sponsor, and then we'll fund the farmer to grow it and then supply, get paid, and pay you back. So we don't list when we don't have an off-taker. We do not list when we don't have an off-taker. Okay. So really, crowdfunding, crowd farming, and trading platform. We are registered commodity brokers on the Ghana Commodity Exchange. But in Ghana and in Africa, there are two markets. There's a regulated commodity exchange market and there's an open market. The open market is where you buy, there's no audit trail, you sell and provide like that, you know. Mm-hmm. But on the that's for the open market. But in the commodity exchange, the commodities are stored. There's a receipt. It's graded, so you know it's grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, and then you can sell in large quantities. So, in between the open market and the commodity exchange, our core word is a semi-regulated. Whereas ICC can be regulated is a buyer who buys from an ordinary farmer and sells to an off-taker who would want to have a contract, a certain specification of moisture content, aflatoxin level, you know, and stuff like that, so that there's a contract, a specification, and then he supplies. So because we fund the farmers to farm and we also trade, we operate across these different dynamic markets. And we've done that in such a way that because we're a tech company at the core, and we're very scalable, and we are scalable in crowdfunding, monitoring, and trading, we do so that we use the existing infrastructure on ground. We don't need to build a team of people, of traders. We use the existing infrastructure. That way, when I move into Liberia or Cote d'Ivoire to replicate this, I make use of the existing systems. The benefit of using the existing systems is that you make it better, you let the players be part of the change, and you enable all of them to grow. You get what I mean? So it's a collective thing that we do with the existing system, but our technology is what makes it possible.
As you've built this, when did you start?
So 2 years ago, we started exploring the idea. Then we did an unofficial test of it with Pineapple, crowdfund from friends and family, farm and pay them back. And we saw it work. Then January this year, in January, 6th January, we registered a company. About 2 months later, we're registered commodity brokers. And by June, we had built our first MVP, and we rebuilt it all over again to incorporate satellite images. And then we started crowdfunding June, July. Crowdfunded within 3 months to now, we've done over $50,000 plus. And we are just gearing up for next year, where we're planning to do a couple of millions of USD to fund a number of commodities. So we are really growing very fast. And to your question specifically, we started officially in 6th January, unofficially 2 years ago.
The people who you serve, the farmers, they're not always literate, but at the same time, on the other side of your market, you've got highly literate, very discerning audience.
Yeah, so you have to learn to speak multiple languages. One language being the language of, to your point, the discerning, experienced person who wants to see the numbers. It should add up, and it should be simple for him to make a decision. This makes business sense. I'm happy to make between 5 to 30% profit on my money, so I'll do this. Then on the farmer, you have to speak his language. I'm going to give you plows. I'm going to give you fertilizer. I'm going to give you seed. This is the value. You're going to pay me back in X number of bags of maize or soybean. And he understands. And once you speak these two languages, you, the guy in the middle, must make sure everybody's happy. So how we make sponsors happy is by updating them of what's happening in the farm through our tool. So the sponsor is always seeing planting. He sees that, oh, for a smallholder farmer, to plant really is to take a stick, punch a hole in the ground, drop a seed, step on it, move to the next one. Oh, this is really what it is. And then a month later, he sees, oh, this is how the crops are growing. 3 months later, he sees the matured. Wow, so this is really what's happening on smallholder farmers. And by the way, there's a GPS coordinate, so you can see what's happening on satellite imagery. Because through Airbus and App 42, we're able to get satellite images to locate the farm that the lead farmer that we are showing to you. And on the farmer side, speaking his language, we are able to use on ground. We have 3 layers of monitoring, the extension officers from MOFA, And then our own on-ground monitors, that the guys that we deploy to engage and monitor the farm, and they are very critical when it comes to taking back the bag viewers and the sponsor. And then our satellite images. So for the farmer, he has deeper agronomy services through the extension officers, and then choose deeper advice that we get from the satellite images and help him to grow very well. And at the harvest, we take the commodity or buy the commodity and sell it. So we take what is due us. If he has excess, we buy it. And then trade it, sell it to off-takers. Off-takers who need these things in large quantities. So the real thing, to your point, is speak the language of the guy who's bringing the money. He understands it. Goes on our website, he sees this is the commodity, this is the start date, the end date, this is a contract, this is potentially what you can make between these two amounts. It's easy for him to use his card to pay. But for the farmer, I give you all you need to produce, and I get what is due me, and I can buy the extra you have and trade it, and I pay the sponsor, and the cycle continues. So to your point, you have to learn to speak everybody's language. A lot of people think smallholder farmers in Africa don't know what they're doing.
Okay.
So they do know what they're doing. Okay, these guys have been farming for many years. Our criteria for selecting a farmer is that they should have done less than 3 years of that particular crop in that particular location. So what does mean? Experience. So we don't sponsor newbie farmers. We sponsor very experienced farmers. Currently, most of our farmers we sponsor have a 10 years experience growing soybean or maize. So the guy knows how to do his 10 acres very well. And we're not scaling up too fast that he cannot handle it. We literally would double or 2.5 times what he's doing. Still manageable for him. So if the total tonnage is 100,000, now it can go to 250,000 because we brought in incentives to make it happen. Now, to your point, I've described it easily, but it's not easy because on the ground, the farms are in places that are very far away. For example, our soy farms are in about 12 to 14 hours away from Accra, depending on how fast you're driving. When you get to Tamale, you have to drive like another 2 hours to go to Gushegu and see the farms that are there. So you need to use the people, let me use not the word use, you need to work with or partner with the people that are doing it and that have experience to do it, to grow more. That's why the word grow for me comes in. So I'm farming, I'm growing for you. So the farmer who has experience about 3 years, in our case, most of them have 10 years experience, you fund him by giving him plowing extra land so he doesn't have to break his back to plow or to dig with a hoe. So the idea of a hoe, people are still using a hoe to dig the ground to farm. But when we come in, we plow for you. So you don't use a lot of energy. Secondly, we give you the best of seeds. And we give you fertilizer. Then through the network of the Ministry of Food and Agriculture's extension officers, we actually bring them, we connect them with your farm to consistently and periodically visit your farms. So we are using existing systems, and that's what's different about our business. We use existing systems that may have been underutilized to bring inputs, deeper monitoring, and a larger harvest. Because instead of the extension guy sitting there and not doing it, we are incentivizing him to go further to the farm and to check. And because that extension officer, probably a university grad, he has a smartphone. He can send a picture for us to see what's happening. Someone goes like, yeah, but what if he's lying to you? That's where our satellite images come in. So we're looking at things like NDVI, chlorophyll level. Looking at all the farms that we sponsor, we go around with the GPS tool, capture the GPS coordinates and upload it into our system so we can see what's happening. So to your point, it's a very technology-driven company, but we make use of the ground infrastructure, extension officers, the people, the culture. And next, we don't sponsor individual farmers. No, if you're a single farmer, we will not sponsor you. We sponsor groups. So we will sponsor a farm group of 20, 25, 30, 50, 100. Why? When you work with a group, there's something about group dynamics. Nobody wants to be the guy who fails the group because everybody says, this is good. We want it the next time. And the agreement and the terms is very, very fine. So why would I want to disappoint? So if this guy is going to disappoint, they're going to take him out of the list. Or the group is going to make sure that what he must provide is provided so that the quantity we expect from this farmer group is gotten. In addition to the farmer group extension officer, we have our own independent team, guys who go and, give us updates of what's happening there. Why? Why is all these layers of monitoring key? Because we are working with your money, David. It's your money that's going in there. So you trust us because you trust us to use your money to farm. trade it and give you some good profits on it. So we must put in all the measures to ensure that it's done. But it doesn't end there. We have crop insurance laid on top of it. And once again, we use satellite image company that uses satellite-based insurance to insure our farms. So in excess rain or drought, we can have a payout. So yes, it's not that easy like I described it, but thanks for pushing to the finer details. This is how hard it is. I mean, my team is currently on the field. They are in somewhere in Nigeria, mapping out the farms that we are farming, because traceability is key. We should be able to say this lot of maize came from this farm in this region at this time. And if you want to build a long-term business, that's what you do. That's the difference between us and a regular trader who just come and buy a commodity and sell. We stay with the farmer long-term. We are locked in because we want you to be a recurring sponsor. Some sponsors actually would like to leave their monies to farm the next cycle. They don't want it out. They want it to keep farming. So to your point, it's not that easy like I described at first, but this finer details gives you context.
Absolutely. And, so, I mean, we're having an honest conversation, because at first when I saw your commission, I thought, okay, that's quite a hefty commission. But then as you explain how much work you do to ensure, insure, and prepare, support, drive the whole production, it actually seems small now, but I probably shouldn't say that out loud.
So yeah, that's true. I mean, it's a lot of work for me. I'm so happy about our company. Genuinely, as a founder of it, I feel very blessed to have the opportunity to be part of this, because when I saw the faces of the people in the community we had funded and brought in the tractors to plow, and the excitement, and you could just see like you're lifting some heavy burden off the guy's back, because he doesn't need to go and dig that soil again. And you can just feel that, that impact, that excitement, that gratitude. And for me, that's what moves me. So as much as it's a very profitable venture, because when you trade, you make good, margins when you're the one producing. It's still so rewarding, when you know that you're having a direct impact in the life of someone deep in Gushegu, or deep in Bolga somewhere, who you may never have gotten to meet if you just stuck to your 8 to 5 job. But now, David, your money can be impacting and making a profit somewhere deep in Ghana, and that's amazing. Our biggest milestone was the first time, we integrated satellite images and we were able to query for specific areas. That was critical to us, because it came in very key for us to be able to monitor our platform, our farms. And we used other platforms to monitor too. The second milestone was when we listed our first commodity, and we saw a total stranger none of us knew sponsor. But I was the first to sponsor a farm on our platform. As a CEO, I had to,
Absolutely.
But when I saw a total stranger I didn't know, I had no connections with, because when you start a business, friends and family and your first and second degree connections come. But when you have a total stranger come sponsor a farm, and you check the numbers, like it's coming from somewhere in UK and US, like, yeah, you're in business now, and that was the next milestone. Third milestone was when we did our first trade. When I saw our soya coming, I got to Tamale. I saw them load the truck with the soya bean, and I was just like, I wanted everything to be on point. And the truck left, and I was like, wow, our first trade. And I think it's similar to Michael from Agro Center was saying the same experience. It's just a thrill when we saw our first, I saw our first delivery van moving from Tamale to Accra to deliver our soya bean. And then the next one, which was most recent really, was when we actually did mapped out our farms, and we uploaded them to know that every farm we had a GPS coordinates. And that was super exciting for us, knowing that, look, we are onto something amazing. And I was so excited that we could have all these critical milestones checked off. And now they're ready to scale.
Let's talk through how has this year been for you? This has been a particularly complicated year for every business. How has the pandemic, COVID-19, how has all of this affected your plans?
So I must tell you, I'm a serial tech entrepreneur. My first company, Asoeba, and two other products, my church pay, and then my business pay, a Fintech that process transactions. And those companies, the transactions grew by three times, like 300%, right? So times three or whatever we're processing. That was great. GrowForMe officially started in January. So just before COVID, we had registered a company.
Exactly.
Then March thereabout, there was lockdown. But the beautiful thing about the lockdown was that we were building the company. When I say building the company, putting in the structures, all the registrations, all the processes, all the designing the operations and everything. We're putting all those in motion, building our MVP. So whilst it was a lockdown, we were actually working deeply. And, I'm a believer of, processes. So I made sure our company went through the Founder Institute, and we are Y Select Founder Institute. That's like creme de la creme of the top companies in the Founder Institutes. And right after that, we went into the Airbus Accelerator, which gave access to satellite imagery. So it was a lot of work. So even though we were locked down, we were literally building the technology and the processes. And then when we crowdfunded in June, July, we had the funds and we could go into the farm because then the lockdown was off, fund our farmers to grow, and then did our trades subsequently. And now we've actually raised funds for our next cycle farm. So for me, I have to be frank, it really gave me the peace of mind to build a company. It did not slow us down.
Let's look internally for a little while. You mentioned your team, and you're very, rightfully so, very proud of your team. You've also, I see you've also got some great advisors, because what you're trying to do has many moving parts. Apart from meeting a lot of great partners, you have to understand a lot of what goes on offline with the farmers. You have to build a platform that actually works. It has to be integrated into a market. It has a lot of moving parts. How have you built your team to be able to manage all of that and kept it, well, looking at the numbers, quite small?
Yeah, so the strategy really has been to understand, first of all, as an individual, that there are different kinds of people. And I must be brutally honest. You have to come to a point where you can identify very, very smart, proactive, independent people who are willing to make history for themselves. And they do not need you to tell them what to do, but they're already passionate enough that they want to leave a mark in whatever space they are in. And then you can provide just some guidance and feedback and let them really operate. And once the vision is very clear and is precise where you're going, it attracts those who kind of like that kind of light. So first of all, making it very clear what you're doing, and then allowing it to attract the kind of people you want. And when it attracts them, you then filter based on the level of how dedicated the person is, how smart the person is, how far the person is willing to go. And for me, fundamentally, whether the person is really willing to put his money or her money where her mouth is or his mouth is. So some of our critical staff members are actually recruited from our customer base. Yeah. So some example, our head of sales, Lorraine, amazing, sharp lady, Oxford grad with so much experience. And then Francis happened to be my classmate, great guy, For Lorraine, she was a customer. She saw what you're doing, was excited about it, asked so many questions. Started talking to her friends about it. I'm like, then you're already doing the job that we wanted to get someone to do. You have the skill, you have actually funded our farm, you're passionate about this, do you want to be part of the team? Absolutely. So I'm constantly, your customers are not just people who bring your money. Customers are individuals you can build relationships with that has real value. So that's what I do. I look into my customer base all the time. I personally send emails to a lot of our customers. I engage with some of them. One of them was like, wow, this is such a personal touch. I said, yeah, you need to have such a personal touch with your customer, because your early customers really are going to be the launch pad for the next phase of your business. If I have 300 sponsors right now, bringing me a total of $50,000, those 3 people with a connection of 3 each can bring those 300 people, bringing 3 people each on average, will give me over 900, close to 1,000 sponsors. You can imagine what's going to happen. So scaling for me is not a difficult thing. Scaling is really about maintaining that relationship, meeting my promise, and bringing back the funds with the profit share promised, and then maintaining that relationship so that it grows. And as it grows, there's really no limit in sight to how far we can grow. It's really about meeting our promise. So back to your question, how do I find great talent? I'm always looking out for the people I need. It's clear what I need. I understand our business process. I've designed it. I know the gaps that needs to be filled. I know the kind of person I want to fit in there. And when I find someone who fits in there, smart, intelligent, willing to work, we want to be part of the vision, and someone I don't need to instruct, I don't need to tell what to do. The person is smart enough to say, look, I want to innovate in this. I kind of bring them on board.
What is the magic that makes GrowForMe unique in the market that is fueling this kind of this growth?
Yeah. So what makes us very unique is that we are building this with everyone. That's, for example, you, David. If you found a farm today, you're part of those making the change. We are not very heavily dependent on established institutions to make this happen. Those who are making it possible for the farmer to grow is you, who's out there, who brings his funds and our platform, and the people who are on the ground, existing infrastructures on the ground. And that's really what makes it very different, because, I mean, there are amazing companies out there who basically, own some of the farms themselves. Others, like our model, do not own the farm and they finance the farmer. But that ability to work with the crowd and gain trust is phenomenal, because today, if we've done 50,000 and tomorrow we do 1 million, and then the next time we do 1 billion, can you imagine what we could do? We can literally be funding the whole budget for Cocoa Board, and Cocoa Board does about 1.3 billion. It looks too far away. Nana, you're too dreaming big. But if you can get people to give you 50,000, you pay them back, and you know of the network effect, and they give you 100,000, you can do 1 million, you can do 10 million, 100 million. There's really no limit to having the community make a very big impact in the agriculture industry. And food is the basis of everything. So our difference is technology that allows people to be part of the change. We not owning a fund, but actually funding existing farmers who have successfully done it, allowing us to scale anywhere we need to go. And then finally, being able to use satellite images to monitor our farms. That's really a game changer in the space. I don't see any of our friends. I'll say friends because the industry needs more of us, okay, using these technologies. If they use it, great, I'll be happy, because then it allows you to spend less on your operational cost and use more technology to monitor and predict harvest and outcome, and then to provide for your off-takers. So this is what makes us different. Of course, I have a very amazing team. Most of our team are very experienced people. None of them are first-time entrepreneurs. These are all, very experienced people. Our advisors are top-notch. We have a very solid team that makes this company unique. So I think that's one of the biggest game changers for us is our team. And I could talk a bit more about our team later, but everyone there brings, it's like I have a group of Messis on my team, if I may say.
What do you think is the potential, looking at the size of the market and how crowdfunding can be an accelerator, a catalyst for change? What is the potential?
Yeah, so the agriculture industry in Africa is going to be worth about $1 trillion by 2030, currently about $300 billion. In our case, when we look at farmers who are organized in groups and can take funding from us or from any crowdfunding platform, we're looking at about $100 billion opportunity. And when we scale it down to farmers who have phones, worst case scenario, to be able to receive money or make calls or receive mobile money, we're looking at about a $10 billion market. Now, case in point, if you take a company like Cocoa Board, and by the way, Ghana is one of the first 2 largest cocoa producing countries in the world. So any chocolate you eat, you are sure that some portion of the cocoa came from Ghana. Now, Cocoa Board crowdfunds the money from few syndicated companies who brings in huge amounts of money for cocoa to buy the cocoa from the farmers and sell in the international market and then pay off financiers and get a profit margin and bring it back. Now, because it's coming from few syndicated companies, they can control and call the shots a lot because it's pretty much centralized. But now when you decentralize it and you make it such that now Africans are now crowdfunding for this billion, about 100 million Africans are now paying about $130 and bringing $1 billion, you are looking at controlling the narrative of Africans funding their own, growing their own, and selling their own. And that puts power in our hands. I'm not saying it's only Africans in the diaspora that crowdfund on our platform. We have people from anywhere because money doesn't know color. I'm just saying that in the case of the African continent, it gives us the power to finance our own, grow and build our own, and also determine the market for our own. And that's very powerful.
Let's talk a little bit about the traction that you've been able to build up, and where do you think this momentum is going to take you?
First part of our traction I'll talk about is our partners. So the Ghana Commodity Exchange for trading. We are finalizing a relationship with GIZ so that they expose their farmer base to us for us to fund them to grow more. Churchill Tractors provides our tractor services, and we have a partnership with them. So anywhere in the country in Ghana, we can farm. But I don't want it to get fixed on Ghana because we are actually designed to scale. So any similar partner in any of these African countries, we will pick. And then we'll cover for our crop and crop insurance. So that also gives us scale because wherever we are in the continent, we can provide crop insurance. So our relationships and our partnership are strategic. The final partnership or introduction I'll talk about is from the Ministry of Agriculture, Crops Department. That the introduction to all the district and leaders of the Crops Department or Ministry of Agriculture gives us access to millions of farmers who we can fund on the recommendation of the district leaders of MOFA. That means that if I go into any community and I go to the district leader of MOFA, he can tell me this farming group and that farming group are very good and you should work with them because they bring their commodities to our warehouse and we see the quality. So that is very significant for us. Now, in terms of funds we raised, in 3 months, we raised over $50,000. We've sponsored over 200 farmers and we've had over 200 plus acres. Those 200 acres will be bumped up to more than 400 acres before the end of the year. And our trade, we've done very few trades, about just $3,800. We're going to bump that up more because the harvest, we're getting ready to pick a harvest for soybean and the rest. So trade, which currently sits at $3,800, would increase. These are the specific tractions we've gotten, and this is just from 3 months ago till now. And this is going to be very exciting when we're looking at our numbers by the end of the year. We've already started working towards our target for next year. If you go on our platform, you cannot fund any crop now. All the crops you have the chance to fund are all for next year. So soybean starting in 24th June, ends in 28th December 2021. And then pineapple starts on, which is already ongoing, 22nd October, ending on 28th December 2021. And these are just two of the crops. We'll be listing maize and the other commodities soon. And we want to really raise in excess of $1 million for each of these crops to fund our farmers. And it's exciting because we're continually locking in the off-take agreements who will take up all these commodities so that we don't have any funds locked on the farm. Everything needs to be sold and sponsors need to be paid back. So that is what we are looking at in the next year. And we are currently fundraising to do more. If we fundraise and we get that seed round we are looking for, we can do about we can raise about 7.9 million and bring back about 2.6 million in profits. So that is really exciting. And so if we can fundraise, which has been one of my focus for the past months, it will be amazing for what we can do within that time.
Have you already gotten some interest?
Yeah, we already have our lead investors already through, and we have a couple of them hard circled to close before the month ends, and we have room for more. We're raising just $300,000, and I think we should even use our platform to crowdfund that money.
Why not? You're at a relatively early stage with this particular business. You have other businesses that are a little bit more advanced. That means that you also have that experience of both being in a later stage of a business and this these early days of building a platform, a business, and connecting it to the market. What advice would you give to an early stage startup like your own, like the leader or the founder of an early stage startup like your own in these particular times?
Yeah.
What would be your advice?
I said this in the previous call, and I'll say it here too. And I'm saying this based on experience and based on metrics and data. Partnerships. If you're an early stage company, partner. When you partner, you stand on the shoulder of giants. When you don't partner, you're literally reinventing the wheel. Think about this. If you want to build a car now, are you going to create your own design from scratch, build your own engine from scratch, build your own tires, build your own seats, actually farm your own cotton to build your own seats, mine your own iron and then melt it? No, you're not going to do that. Our time is very unique. You're going to buy components from the best suppliers, assemble them, and then the only maybe unique thing you bring on board is what you probably would do, and then slap it on in and you're on the market. So the point is, if you're a startup, basically find what is existing and build based on that. So to bring into the tech space, to call it APIs, right? You want to build something, you pull APIs from here, and then put your unique thing on it, and then you're in the market. That's why a lot of companies will start. They don't have to own their own infrastructure. They'll go on AWS or Azure. So that experience has taught me to really build my companies differently. What I know now, if I was building my first company now, I would have built it differently. So with all the experience coming, I'm very big on partnerships. I had a call with Agro Center. I'm having a call with other people who are in the same space saying, guys, this industry needs more of this. So how do we work together? And I'm open. Like, hey, this is where I am. This is where I want to go. I don't believe in there's too much problems to solve to start talking competition now. Maybe 10 years when we hit market saturation, we can talk about competition. But no. So partner strategically, partner for scale. So for example, we pick some of the partners we are working with because they have reach across sub-Saharan Africa. So you get what I mean? So if you go with GIZ or USA, they have reach in all these places and they've been there for years doing work, So that's strategic partnership. So the fact that I'm saying partner, don't just go and partner with anybody and think it will happen. Yeah, you have to be strategic with your partnerships. And then finally, surround yourself with people smarter than you. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're not going anywhere. But when you surround yourself with people who are smarter than you and can question you and say, like, we don't think this makes sense, then it forces you to think and bring out the best in you. And I think that is very critical, and that'll be my last advice. Find people who are smarter than you to be on your team.
Well, Nana, it's been. I've learned a lot. I think you have a vision that is for a startup that is so early stage. I love how far down the road you are looking. Good luck with your team and also the work that you're doing in the farms and the way that you're helping everybody. Well done with all of that. And yeah, we'll be watching your story. And let's keep in touch. Maybe we can do another interview in a little while, in some time, and see how everything is progressing.
Yes, and don't just watch. I want you to go to GrowForMe.com, David, and fund a farm. As low as $20, you can do have a plot that's about 1/8 of an acre, and you should be part of it. And that's really what I want people to take away after watching this, to be part of it. That's the only way we can see the change we want. So in the next interview, you can talk about your experience, about how you received your funding back and what you thought the whole experience was. And I think that'll be more powerful.
I'm sold. I'll get on the platform, and I hope other people do too. I think it's spoken like a true entrepreneur, always pitching your idea, which is good. That's the way it should be. Great talking to you, man.
Same here, David. It was a pleasure. Have a lovely day.
You too. Take care. Bye.
Thanks for joining us today. If you're a startup founder looking for practical tips, check out the Startup Academy or connect directly with industry-leading experts through the mentorship marketplace. Be sure to keep an eye out for new programs and opportunities we make available as VC4A, or boost your capital raising efforts by registering a fundraising campaign request. Our services are free for entrepreneurs, so be sure to sign up at vc4a.com. Subscribe to our podcast and join us again next time. Till then, work smart and stay safe.